We begin today's show looking at Indonesia, the world's fourth largest country. On Monday, President Obama met at the White House with Indonesia's new president, Joko Widodo, who is also known as Jokowi, to discuss climate change, trade, and strengthening U.S.-Indonesian ties.
Our partnership is very much in the interests of the United States, given Indonesia's large population, its leadership in the region, its democratic traditions, the fact that it is a large Muslim country with a tradition of tolerance and moderation, and its role in trade and commerce and economic development.
Monday, President Obama described Indonesia as one of the world's largest democracies, but human rights groups paint a different story, citing the military's ongoing repression in West Papua, as well as discriminatory laws restricting the rights of religious minorities and women. Indonesia has also been criticized for attempting to silence any discussion about the 50th anniversary of the 1965 Indonesian genocide that left more than 1 million people dead. Last week, Indonesia's largest writers' festival, the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival, was forced to cancel a series of events tied to the anniversary of the massacre, including a screening of Joshua Oppenheimer's documentary, The Look of Silence. Alan Nairn, can you talk about the significance of President Widodo's visit to the United States? John Sifton just mentioned West Papua, and if you can place it, especially for viewers and listeners in the United States who may know very little about the Indonesian archipelago.
West Papua is on the eastern end of the archipelago, and it's legally, in the eyes of the UN, considered part of Indonesia. But the Indonesian government, the army, the police, the intelligence, treat it as if it's an occupied foreign land. They shoot demonstrators. They arrest anyone who speaks for independence or against the army, who raises a Papuan flag. A few years ago, I released a series of internal documents from Kopassus, the US-trained special forces, which showed that they had a massive network of intelligence informants modeled on that Israel uses in the West Bank. And there's this ongoing terror in Papua. President Jokowi has indicated that he would like to pull back on a lot of this army and police and intel repression in Papua, but the security forces have resisted him, and he has not been brave enough to overrule them. Obama could have, with one word, facilitated the pullout of the repression from Papua by saying that the U.S. would cut off all military aid unless they stop the terror in Papua. By doing that, he could have strengthened the hand of Jokowi and others in the government, because the government is divided on this, who want to rein in the army and the police. But apparently Obama didn't do that. The U.S. has always maintained a separate channel to the army from the days of the Suharto dictatorship, and even before, when the U.S. was trying to overthrow the founding president, Sukarno. And that strengthens the hand of the army, and the CIA works with the police against an elected civilian president like Jokowi. It previously happened with Gus Dur, who was a Muslim cleric, a reformist president, who was undermined and in effect ousted by the army. And one of the key sources of army power is the fact that they have their separate channel to Washington. In fact, as Jokowi was meeting with Obama, Ash Carter, the Secretary of Defense, was welcoming General Riamizard, the defense minister of Indonesia, who is the chief ideologist in favor of killing civilians. He said previously that anyone who dislikes the army is a legitimate target for killing. Reacting to a massacre of civilians of children in Aceh a number of years ago, he joked about it and said, well, children can be dangerous too.